Hey, what's up? Yeah, it's Slaughterhouse 5 now. Obviously, this is, kind of a capstone to the Dresden vids. So the film that is essentially about, well, it's the Kurt Vonnegut style, right? He does like these kind of weird, kind of darkly humorous, kind of science fiction, but not really, I guess, sort of stories. And apparently, this one here was very autobiographical. He was a POW. He was taken in the Ardennes. Green kid. You know me. I'm usually don't speak up for the Americans, other than sometimes the Marines. But a lot of those dudes in the Ardennes, they were guys just thrown in there. They were like green soldiers. You know the way the American army did it. Just throwing, patching guys in while keeping the older guys in the field all the time. And there was a lot of tension. A lot of the green guys wouldn't get help from the older guys. I mean, this is a whole thing, but that's not the point of this. In terms of the book, I had to read the book in high school. I remember reading it in the 80s. And I guess my sensibilities were a little different back then. I was all of, I don't know, 14 or 15 years old. Um, in terms of the film, obviously in Dresden, I immediately went to see where they filmed this. They filmed it in Prague, right? Which was interesting because technically Prague was part of the Eastern Bloc at the time, but they were able to film there, and not in Dresden, which had been rebuilt from what was shown in here. Now, in terms of the actual story, of course, the big thing with Slaughterhouse 5, it's kind of interesting. Obviously, Alan Moore took this idea, amongst other ideas he took, was influenced by, for Watchmen, the idea of that this guy is unstuck in time. He sort of sees and knows like what's happening in the future, in the past, right? Eventually, the aliens introduce themselves to him when he's in that dome thing, and they're like, "Yeah, we know the future, we know the past, we know everything." And he goes, "Well, why don't you try? If you know the future, why don't you why would you not try to change it?" And they're like, "Why would we try to change it? It's all the same." It's like that non-linear kind of weird quantum existential stuff. But in terms of the story, when you watch it, the character just you see the different parts of his life happening, and it always comes back to what happened in Dresden. Vonnegut said that this was probably the most autobiographical thing he did. What else? Excuse me. What else can I add to this? Well, I'll tell you this: like in terms of like the prisoners, you sort of see that. You see like the humiliation, the uncertainty, and like the kind of dehumanization you get from being a prisoner. I think of the El Alamein film, The Line of Fire, that went over a long time ago. With only Italian. The character was taken prisoner at one point and then escaped in Benghazi, and he goes, "I'm never gonna be a prisoner again. I'm never gonna surrender ever." So because you don't even feel like a human being, and you sort of get that in this, right? Um, I mean that was what I saw. I'm trying, I'm sympathetic. Of course, my ultimate sympathy is those for my mother's people, and you see that everything from the in Dresden, everything from the refugees are shown to the Fasching, right? The Fastnacht. You see the little kids wearing the masks. You see the little German the teenager who's like in charge of them. He has like a 19th century like fit on bayonet on his Mauser. It's just like little things like that I notice, like the at the end, of course, the B movie uh, skin flick female actress that gets thrown into him in the dome with her big tits. I just thought it was funny too when she attacks him. She actually has him in a perfect rear mount with her hooks in and with a rear naked choke like Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. I thought that was interesting. That obviously, other than an overlooked part of Newaza, or what they would call like a crab ride in the old wrestling, it just was funny how they filmed that. Like, I think that was just an accident. So, but And of course, you see the old cars, the old hospitals. The nurses are still wearing the hats. His wife is an obnoxious, chubby broad. Um, and the actor too. This actor, I don't really think I saw him in much more. He did a really good job. This guy is almost like a punching bag throughout the film. He goes through a lot of trauma. A lot of people take their ire out on him uh, for no reason, for nothing that he's done. But he sort of accepts it all. Of course, the fact that eventually he realizes that all has been decided, all has been what will be. He's at peace with it. So, and I thought that was interesting. I think that was Vonnegut maybe trying to be at peace because he was a very young man when he went through the traumas that he did in that useless war, and the fact that he was able to balance the things that happened. I mean, they weren't treated, the best by the Germans, obviously, but he still felt sorry for them, sorry to their people for what happened to them. And of course, in the film, what they didn't show them in the basements with the sludge, which was mentioned in the book that he would have known and he would have seen. So, anyway, yeah, recommend the film. You could probably watch this online easily, but it's always nice to have some physical media. And yeah, I'll watch this again. Really interesting. I have to read the book again to see. Apparently, Vonnegut was he thought it was a great adaptation. It was very close to what he did. So anyway, I'll show you a little scene. So obviously, uh, more. This is almost half century old. Uh, Less time passed from what happened in the war to this film than now to this film, but it's just kind of funny how when you get decades past an event and you start to see things a little different. Oh, that's the sort of theme of my channel, isn't it? Anyway, let me add this part to it. Here's an interesting scene. That's all I'll say. That's all I'll say.
Well, men, do I have only one volunteer?
Listen, pal, I only stood up back there to tell you that one day your doorbell's gonna ring, see? And there's gonna be this guy in a trench coat.
We need Germans to offer so long, Campbell, because we have to. But we'd rather die than eat your gun, which is sick and lousy and foul.
History will prove you an ass.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
No, you getting die from your own people,
No bombs, eh, Campbell?
Paisan.
I can't trust the Jews.
Oh. Yeah. Actually, that's the real footage. And it's funny too, because the Paisan, the Italian dude, is such a he's always threatening revenge on every single person in the film. Oh, what's this? Oh, there's another great movie.
Charlie's point. Charlie don't surf.
Yeah, Charlie don't surf. That's right. Anyway, yeah, Slaughterhouse 5 was a really good movie. They're pretty good. That 70s, like I said, that 70s style, that kind of downbeat, melancholic, bleak style you had in the 70s. But it almost seems like a totally forgotten film, like a lot of films from that time. But like I said, recommended.